We're back for you now, approaching 9:25, continuing our conversation on State Question 777, which has become known as the Right to Farm Bill. And we're here with Roy Lee Lindsay with the Oklahoma Pork Council, and then the former Oklahoma Attorney General, I should say, Drew Edmondson. Thank you both for being in here with us. Do want to get to some viewer questions that we had sent in. This statement was sent in from Chris. Want to get both of your reactions here on this. He says, let's just say the average person can't read this bill and understand it. That alone should be enough to vote it down. Anytime government uses a title on a bill that says you have a right, it's probably not a bill for the people, but corporations instead. Drew, you first.
Well, in my view, the prime beneficiaries of this thing would be the huge corporations that are running them, not all of which, you know, the largest hog producer in Beaver, Harper, and Ellis counties, Richfield Farms, is Chinese owned. And they get the rights under 777 to be free from future regulation, and it's just not right. So the viewer's correct, right to be suspicious. This is not a good bill for individual citizens, consumers, or people who like to drink clean water. Roy Lee?
Well, first of all, I think that's, every time Drew wants to say that you're going to be free of regulation, he just is misleading the public. Attorney General Pruitt has told us very plainly that the legislature retains the right to regulate clean water, and that's what the compelling state interest language is in there for. We believe clean water is important. That's why we included that language, so that the legislature could still act in those terms. So to say there won't be regulation just is not accurate. In terms of who's going to benefit from this, the folks that are most able to comply with new regulation are the folks with the biggest pocketbook. So the guy who's going to benefit the most from being protected from government overreach is the smaller farmer. He's the guy who least has the resources to go out and compete, to go out and deal with regulation as new regulations come in. He's the one that's going to benefit. That's why when you look at the membership of the organizations that are supporting this question, from the Farm Bureau to the cattlemen to Oklahoma Farmers Union, they're individual family farmers. They're not this large corporation that Drew wants to talk about. They are the individuals out on the land every day.
And the last thing, we're kind of ending time here, but the last thing, Barry Switzer has been very vocal about this in opposition to 777 because he's an animal lover. He says if this passes, it's possible that farmers, ranchers could classify dogs as cattle, or dogs as livestock, I should say, is a better phrasing for that. Therefore, you have puppy mills, you could have horse slaughtering farms. Is that possible with the passing of 777?
No. I mean, we already have laws on the books that say that regulate puppy mills. We already have laws on the books that ban cockfighting. The federal government already prohibits horse slaughter. So none of those things are going to happen. Again, this is just a tactic from the other side to scare folks. We intentionally left all of the rules and regulations that were in place on December of 2014 in place, so that those practices that had already been prohibited by law would remain prohibited by law. So this notion that there's suddenly going to be a puppy mill on every corner is just nonsense.
Okay, and do you disagree?
Nobody said a puppy mill on every corner, but livestock is not defined in 777. It is defined in Oklahoma statutes as any animals kept in captivity. So would apply to any animals raised for profit, and that would include puppies, it would include exotic animal farms, it would include cockfighting. Legislature doesn't have to repeal the ban on cockfighting. All they have to do is reduce the penalty. And if you'll recall from those years, the legislature wouldn't ban cockfighting. It took a vote of the people to finally do it. The same with puppy mills. They can reduce those restrictions and penalties through legislative action. So there is a genuine risk to animals. Switzer was also concerned about water. He spoke about animals and he spoke about protecting our water.
Roy Lee Lindsay, Drew Edmondson, thank you so much for being with us here, shedding a little bit of light on what a lot of people are thinking is a convoluted bill right now, not really understanding it. So, of course, we thank you for your time, and this will be one of the 7 state issues that people will go vote on November 8th. So, thanks to you again. We'll be right back after this break.
The 2016 Miss